Hey, what's up, guys? We are live tonight. We're going to be talking everything real estate investing. And my goal is to make sure that after you're done hanging out, you walk away with a ton of value, you learn a ton, and I answer every question that you need. So from there, I am going to be, let's see here, I'm just getting everything queued up here. Stick around because I'm going to make sure that your questions get answered. Okay. Let's talk mobile home park investing, real estate investing in general, self-storage. I'm going to talk a little bit about a deal that we just closed today on a self-storage deal, and should be a good time. So, hey, if you are not on the Dattilo.tv over on YouTube, jump over there and hit subscribe because I can't see your questions if you aren't over on the YouTube channel. And hit subscribe when you jump over there too. TV. And so, yeah, we're going to talk about real estate investing. I'm going to answer any questions you have. I want to hear where you're checking in from, and I want to find out what you're investing in as well. Obviously, I invest in mobile home parks. I also invest in self-storage, and doesn't mean that we can't talk about single-family homes or rentals, flipping, wholesaling, whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm game. I've done it all, and would love to talk to you about it. So hop over to Dattilo.tv and make sure that you are over there and subscribed as well. It's totally free. So let's dive into it. I want to make sure that folks hopping on that are watching this after the live is done get a lot of value early on. If you're just hopping on and this is like a replay for you, you can fast forward through this intro part where I give people a chance to get on. So just jump forward a couple of minutes and you're going to start hearing me answer questions and dive into it. So if you're just hopping on, jump over to Dattilo.tv and be sure to ask questions and chime in over there because that's the only place that I'm going to be able to see your chat in your comments and your questions. So Dattilo.tv, hit subscribe when you get over there too. All right, so let's start talking some meat and potatoes here. I have been doing a lot of intro for the last, call it minute or so to give people a chance to dial in or get connected in. Dattilo.tv, hit subscribe, and I'm going to be answering questions, and we're going to have some fun tonight. I'm going to be on for a little while, and the only place that I can see your comments, though, is over at Dattilo.tv, which is my YouTube channel. Hit subscribe when you get on there. Again, if you're watching this as a replay, then you need to fast forward a little bit so you don't hear me repeat myself, letting people get chimed in. All right. So far, this has been a fun week. We've had quite a bit going on. Yesterday was crazy. We were kind of prepping for a refinance on a deal that we were working on. We've been working on for 3 months on a self-storage building that we own. And that was a battle, and we've had quite a few things pop up, mostly due to insurance and interest rates. Thankfully, we were able to close at the initially stated interest rate that we were given, but it took a little bit of a fight just across the board. We had to actually bring on a second lender part of the way through due to some stupidity. And then also later on, insurance rates skyrocketed. Pretty interesting. Our insurance policy happened to renew in the middle of a refinance. And although we would have needed to get a different policy anyways, it just put us in a kind of a tight position to have to get the quote for what the lender wanted as well as, what we wanted as well, kind of all at the same time. So anyways, it was a successful closing today. We got several $100,000 out. And it was a great success because now we've got a much higher return on our minimal capital we still have invested in the deal. And the property's super strong, nice, stabilized 50 something thousand square foot self-storage facility in Southwest Florida. So that's a pretty sweet deal. We've owned that for, how many years now? I want to say 4 years. Time's flown, and we've owned that, and just kind of wanted to make sure we locked in on rates. where they are before they get too crazy. And we also wanted to pull out some capital so we could reinvest that, and our returns on the capital that's still invested would go through the roof. So kind of that whole Burr method that many of you have heard on the single family side, very similar to what we do commercial real estate, just bigger numbers. That's it. It's bigger, more zeros. So, hey guys, jump on over to mariodattilo.tv and ask your questions there. I can see your chat there, your questions there. I can't see them on any of the other platforms. And be sure when you jump over to mariodattilo.tv, which is my YouTube channel, that you click that subscribe. It's free, but it'll notify you next time I do one of these lives. So we're going to hang out here. Let's talk some commercial real estate. Let's talk residential real estate investing. Let's talk whatever you guys want to. Drop in the chat where you are chiming in from and what you are investing in or want to invest in. There's so many different strategies to real estate investing that it can never get boring. I mean, we could sit here and talk about each one of those strategies for hours and not run out. Jump over to mariodattilo.tv and drop in the chat where you're at and what you're investing in or what you want to invest in. Okay. Totally free, but I'll be able to see your chat over there. I cannot see it on any of the other platforms. So just want to make sure we can interact and have some fun here. Anyways, so yeah, we closed that refinance today, which was just a beast of a deal to get closed. It was a great cash out deal where we were able to recoup most of our investment, and our investors' capital. The return on our capital is through the roof now, so pretty pumped about that. Looks like I may be having a little bit of Wi-Fi issue, but so hang in there. If it'll clear up in a second. Anyways, so another fun thing that happened, guys, drop in the chat where you're at, what you're investing in, and what questions you have about real estate or what you want to talk about. Maybe you want me to give you some insight on what I've got going on or what my experience is in a certain property type. I'm happy to talk about whatever you guys want. This is all about you tonight. I'm just kind of filling time until I start getting some more questions coming in. Jump over to mariodattilo.tv and ask your questions over there because that's where I can see it. All right. So another fun thing that happened today, my podcast is getting ready to launch in May. And so I've been doing interviews and just been some super sharp people. I'm really excited about this podcast because, if you guys have been following the YouTube channel or a lot of my content, it's always, for the most part, mobile home park investing, very, very niche. But what I'm doing with the podcast, and I'm continuing to go with the YouTube channel and everything, but I wanted to expand a little bit on that and give people an opportunity to hear from other people, other friends of mine that are in my network and my circles to that are invest in other property types. And I feel like if you learn from what other people do in other property types, a lot of times you can take that and put that into other businesses or other property types, that whatever you're investing in. Hey guys, jump over to mariodattilo.tv, drop in the chat where you're at, what you're investing in, what you want to invest in, and hit me with a couple questions. Curveballs are fine. I don't mind the tough questions. I'd love to answer them for you tonight. So anyways, yeah, the podcast is really interviewing just A players. Today I interviewed Javier Hinojo, which is a rock star apartment investor, and we get into a bunch of fun topics. He's a car guy. He actually owns a jet, so we got to talk a little bit about how he looked at jets and how he bought his jet and the financials behind it. And it was super interesting. For those of you who have ever wanted to buy a jet, you can't miss that episode. Javier was super transparent, told me kind of what it looked like to buy a jet and all the opportunities that have come from it as well. So that was a super interesting interview that's going to be coming out in May. So make sure you're tuned into that podcast when it launches. But yeah, so I'm interviewing some super top-notch folks. I'm not going to name drop until the interviews are done, just in case they get pushed back. But I've got another one next week. Dimitri Van Camp, who is in Belgium, investing here in the United States from Belgium. It's going to be a very interesting discussion. He's going to talk about negotiating, which I have to say that out of all the people that I've worked with, Dimitri is definitely one of the best negotiators that I've met. He's just very strategic, very fair negotiator too. And I think you'll really get a ton out of that interview. I think I am interviewing him next Wednesday or Tuesday, I should say. He was tied up, and I was like, "Hey, man, can I do this interview in my car?" And I'm like, well, it's a little tough to do that with video and audio for a podcast when you're in your car. He's like, yeah, but I got to take my Porsche to the dealership. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure everybody would love to see you just, cruising down the Autobahn or something in your in your Porsche, but not for this interview, buddy. So we had to reschedule it, but it is Tuesday of next week. So that's going to be a ton of fun. Hey guys, jump over to MarioDattilo.tv, drop in the chat where you're at, what you're investing in, and hit me with a couple questions too. I'd love to answer any questions that you have about mobile home park investing, real estate investing, both residential and commercial. I'm game for whatever you can throw at me. So, also, pretty interesting. We're looking at a good sized mobile home park in Florida right now. And what's unique about this deal is it's got RV aspect to it. So it's got a section of the community is RV and operating as RV. It's got another section that is mobile home, and some of the tenants actually own some of the lots in there, which is not a mobile home park type that I've invested in before, but we're looking at it pretty seriously. And then there's also room to expand it. This is a really high quality asset. It's got a clubhouse, pool, office. I think tennis courts are going in right now. So it's a pretty sexy property, but it's definitely unique because some of the tenants, some of the residents who own their mobile homes also own the lots. It's like condoed out lots, if you want to look at it that way. So kind of a cool opportunity that we're pursuing right now. So should have an offer out on that, I think tomorrow or Thursday. Hey guys, if you're just hopping on, jump over to MarioDattilo.tv and drop in the chat where you're at, what you're investing in, what you want to invest in, any of that stuff, and hit me with some questions. Throw me some curveballs. It can be any type of real estate question you want. I mean, I had somebody mention just recently that they are looking to buy apartment buildings and actually convert either all or part of apartment buildings into short-term rentals, like Airbnb and everything, to be able to boost the revenue aggressively in parts or all of the buildings, which I thought was pretty sweet. I don't have a lot of experience in short-term rentals except for a motel that we own that happens to be marketed and managed utilizing some of those short-term rental sites as well. We use, Airbnb and what is that? Not for sale, but it's like for rent by owner essentially. And a couple other of those platforms. HomeAway is another one that we use for that. And anyway, so yeah, that's my experience with that. But I thought it was really interesting that he was looking at apartments and looking to kind of convert either some or all of the units into short-term rentals. And if you guys know anything about that business model, the revenue is like crazy on it. Obviously there's more risk, you have more turnover, but it is it's a lot of revenue. And it's definitely more management intense because you got to clean the rooms in between people coming in and out. But hey guys, if you're just hopping on, jump over to MarioDattilo.tv, drop your questions in the chat over there. I cannot see your questions or comments on any other platform other than the MarioDattilo.tv, which is YouTube. So just click it, jump over there, and let's talk. So yeah, we're looking at that deal that I was talking about in Florida. That is a very high quality mobile home community with some RV aspect to it. That should be interesting. We don't own any RV parks right now. It's not something that we would never buy, but it's just kind of a little bit different. It's more like it's much more like a hotel or a motel, right? It's very transient, in and out. There are some RV parks that are monthly and annual, but this community is pretty sweet. We're looking at right now. So jump over to MarioDattilo.tv, drop in the chat what questions you have about real estate investing. Love to answer those questions for you. And also let me know where you're chiming in from, and love to find out what you're investing in as well. So I've got a YouTube episode coming out this week, later this week. And it's about a topic that I think those, especially who are investing in mobile home parks, will be really interested in. And that is how to set lot rents. Okay, I get that question a lot, even over in the MHP tribe, which is basically an education group, a mobile home park investment group that we have on Facebook and everything. A lot of people ask that. How do I figure out what to set my lot rents at? Or more importantly, if I buy a park with park-owned home, rentals in it, how do I determine where those rents are going to be? Because none of the lots are at market lot rent. They're either rental home, the home and the lot are being rented, so you got a really high number. Excuse me, or the seller has very below market rents. And so I did a deep dive into that on that episode. It's coming out here this week, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. And it's very usable strategies and tactics to get accurate lot rents and to determine what your market lot rents should be, so that you then can get to market rent as quickly as possible, maximize your return, and obviously not make any mistakes that could completely wipe you out. If you think your rents are supposed to be at one rate and it ends up that market is lower than that, you could be in for a horrible surprise. Hey guys, jump over to Dattilo.tv, drop in the chat what questions you guys have about real estate, or let me know where you're at and what you're investing in. I'd love to talk to you. That's the only place that I can see your messages. So Dattilo.tv. I'm totally free. It's just my YouTube channel. So it's just a great place to communicate with me from for these live videos. So YouTube episode coming out this week on lot rents. And I think you're going to get a lot out of that too. Just even if you're investing in apartments or other property types, very usable, very tangible ideas and strategies that can be used in a lot of different property types. Also, I've got some great news that we are celebrating right now in our company. We made a bunch of hires. I should say a couple hires. We've been working really hard to hire a regional property manager and find somebody really solid. And we're going to be making an offer later this week. So we're pumped about that. We found somebody that is we're really excited about. So he's going to be hopefully taking our offer and getting started with us. And also, we've got an administrative assistant that we found because of these live videos. I was actually running live, what was it, 2 weeks ago, and maybe it was I take that back, the regional role. He found us through this live video strategy and applied, and that's who we're going to be making an offer to this week. He doesn't even know that, so if he's watching live, he's going to find out before he gets it. But anyways, so yeah, this live video feed has really helped in recruiting and finding great people to work on our team. We did a big training last week where we brought everybody in from all around the country, all of our managers, all of our, our accountant, our project manager, our sales manager, our asset manager, our trying to think, construction manager. I'm forgetting some people. It doesn't really matter. They all came to Naples where we did a big training, which if you follow any of the social media stuff that I'm putting out, I blasted it everywhere because I was so proud. It was like, I can't tell you, I was on like cloud 9 because the people in our company just, they came in strong and did their trainings really awesome. They added a ton of value, and even the people who are there just to learn brought so much information and value that we learned from them. So then we could go implement that in our company. And if you're not doing something like that right now in your business, you need to. I've been around people who have a very open strategy. They listen to their employees. They listen to the people on their team, and they want to learn, they want to get feedback from them. And then I've also worked with some people who are not like that. And it's kind of this top-down approach, and where they think that they know best and they make decisions accordingly. And then they, find out later that the people that were on the front lines could have told them something that they didn't know. And so we are very, very aggressive in trying to learn from the people on our team at every level, whether it's, at the community level or, our accountants or just all these different roles. We want their feedback. We want to learn from them. So that is something that we really take advantage of during our annual trainings that we just did, our second annual training that we just did last week. Hey guys, jump over to Dattilo.tv. It's my YouTube channel, and that's where you can actually chat with me live. And I want to hear what you're investing in, where you're located, and then also what questions you have about real estate investing. And I can actually put your questions right up on the screen, and we can answer them together live with an audience. So make sure to do that. Dattilo.tv. I can't see your comments, your chat over on any of the other platforms except for the YouTube side. Okay. So anyways, so yeah, I'm super pumped because we had the training that went super well. We've got some new hires coming on. Actually, I've got two new junior acquisition managers that I'm going to be talking to this week about coming on as well. Was it last week? 2 weeks ago, I mentioned it on this live and got an inquiry from it. And I thought that was awesome. They heard about what we were doing. They wanted to do acquisitions. They wanted to be able to buy parks, but not have to manage them. And that's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be coming on doing acquisitions for us. We're training them up. We're going to mentor them. And then once they're ready, they're going to move into a senior acquisition manager role and then have a junior acquisition manager underneath them. And what's awesome about that is they'll have experience, and then they're going to be able to start doing their own deals, which is going to allow them to either get paid commissions or also get equity in the deals, which not too many companies out there are doing anything like that, giving equity for sourcing deals, to their team members. So we want them to be partners with us, and so it helps align their interest, and it's great business model, I believe. So hopefully going to have two new people on the team very, very quickly as well. Hey guys, jump over to Dattilo.tv. It's my YouTube channel, and drop in the chat over there what questions you have, what you're investing in, and maybe where you're based out of, and love to hear from you. We've had some great guests on here before. So Dattilo.tv, it's YouTube channel, free. Do it. Click subscribe while you're at it. Anyways, you're also going to get a better feed over on YouTube as well versus the other social media platforms. So kind of interesting. I'd like to actually hear from you guys. If you this weekend, I'm going to some horse races, and that's something I maybe when I was a kid went to a horse race, like, I don't know, maybe I was real young, but actually going to watch some horse races, big race, I guess, up in Charlotte, and some friends invited us. And so I'm super pumped about that. If you guys know anything about horse racing, I would love for you to drop that in the chat and give me some guidance here, because I have no clue what to expect except for guys in fancy suits and girls in big hats. And that's about it. I'm not a big gambler, but I'm pretty excited to see this race. So would love to hear what you guys know by dropping it in the chat over at Dattilo.tv. Tell me what you know about horse racing. I know that has nothing to do with real estate investing or anything, but help a brother out, because I don't know what to expect. So yeah, that is in Charlotte, North Carolina, and that is going to be a blast. I think we're going with a group and going to learn how horse racing works. I like car racing, Formula One and other car racing too. So I'm hoping that the horse racing is just as cool as the car racing. I don't know if it's going to be or not. Hey guys, jump over to Dattilo.tv, drop in the chat what questions you've got about real estate investing. Would love to answer them for you. I cannot see your questions on any other platform, and you're going to get a better feed over there as well anyway. So it's just a much better place. It's a much better place to hang out. Dattilo.tv, which is the YouTube channel. All right. So I'd also like to get into a little bit about kind of why mobile home parks have made so much sense for us to invest in. And the reason that I want to go over that is because I think what happens is we kind of follow the flavor of the month, right? So, anybody who's in real estate or getting into real estate, there's a million different angles to work it. I mean, you can buy each property type several different ways. You can, buy and hold, you can flip, you can wholesale, you can do all this different stuff. And it's very easy to get distracted. It's very easy to kind of chase that shiny object. And so let's talk about kind of why we invest in what we invest in, and and most importantly, how you should look at things when you're looking at investing in real estate. Um, just because somebody says that a property type is a cash cow or generates a lot of income or it's super hot right now, any of those, cliche statements does not mean you should be considering that property type. There's a few different things that I think you should really consider. From a property type standpoint, you should really be looking at where do you think the economy is going to go? And the last live we did, we got super deep into I don't want to say super deep, pretty deep into distressed assets and people kind of starting to see some defaults happening and where things are going to happen or where things could go wrong here pretty soon with interest rates ticking up the way they are and all that. So I don't want to go super deep into that unless you guys drop something in the chat about it. I'm happy to talk about it. But most importantly, you need to decide where do you think the economy is going? If you think that the economy is going to be great in the near future and people are going to have a lot of disposable income, they're going to want to spend more money on luxuries, then you should probably be investing in luxury type properties that people utilize or live in by choice, not because they have to. If you think that the economy is going to get worse and people are going to have less disposable income and they're going to be tighter on cash and they're going to be looking for affordable options for whatever they're utilizing that real estate for, then you probably don't want to go buy luxury real estate assets, meaning like Class A apartments or, um, I'm just thinking high-end retail stuff. I mean, you just need to kind of pay attention to where you think the economy is going and then invest accordingly, which is why we invest in mobile home parks and self-storage facilities, because we believe, and I know, we will see a downturn. We will see a downturn. We will see some distress happening, and people are going to eventually start losing jobs, and money's going to be tight. And so, I want to be in the position to where when that happens, not if, when it happens, that we're positioned to fill up and have higher demand on our assets than in up economies. I feel like a lot of assets do very, very well in strong economies. Only a few do really well in down economies. And so that's why we've positioned ourselves in these two property types, mobile home parks and self-storage. And that is the same thought process that you need to be having when you're deciding what kind of investments to make, what kind of real estate you want to buy, what kind of real estate you want to own or flip or wholesale, whatever. So think about the economy, okay? Where's it going to be? Where's it going? And then put yourself in position to benefit from that. That's why we own mobile home parks and storage. So also, in addition to that, you need to think of your strategy. What kind of strategy do you want to use? So, like I said, you got multiple investment strategies. You've got trading models such as, wholesaling and flipping. You could do that with residential or commercial property. Typically, you hear about wholesaling and flipping a lot on the residential side, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it on the commercial side as well, or land and other things too. But anyways, so you've got the trading strategies, which are going to be your wholesaling and flipping strategies. And then you've got your what I would consider longer term hold investments, which are going to be like buying and renting or even buying and just speculating. Personally, I don't recommend speculating on real estate or any other asset class just because you're gambling. And, people do it with crypto, people do it with real estate, people do it with everything. And typically that's how you lose a lot of money. There's real estate there. I don't want to use the word luck because I don't really believe in luck, but in real estate, there's a little bit of timing. I shouldn't say a little bit. There's a lot of timing, but there's a little bit of, great timing, unpredictable, angles that you can benefit from, if you want to put it that way. Okay. I'm just avoiding the word luck. Okay. But there's a little bit of that in real estate because a lot of times you can't predict what's going to happen next, right? You don't know what asset classes are going to get the strongest, but or you don't know when something is going to pivot, such as, retail struggling because of online, sales and things like that. But that being said, you can have a lot more strategy in real estate than you can in maybe some other investments. In stocks, bonds, a lot of that is just market controlled. I mean, you're not going to have a lot of control over that. With real estate, at least if you're an active operator in it, you can control the operations of it. So I'm getting way off track here. Just to come back and tell you, you've got kind of two angles. You've got a trading strategy, which is going to be flipping and wholesaling. And then you've got a buying for long-term investment. Okay. Jump over to MarioDattilo.tv, guys. Drop your questions in the chat, and also let me know where you're at, what you're investing in, what you want to invest. I'd just love to hear from you. That's the whole purpose of this, is to be live and connect with you guys. And I can't do it on any other platform other than the YouTube, which is MarioDattilo.tv. So check me out over there and let's chat. So now that we know the property type based on the economy, let's determine our strategy. Okay. Our strategy is really that short-term or long-term transactions, and there's benefits to both. Okay. On the short-term transactions, you have lower risk typically. I shouldn't say that. On the wholesaling, you definitely have lower risk because you are going to, you're not actually going to own the asset. You're going to tie up the asset put it under contract, whether it's a single family home, apartment building, storage facility, mobile home park, retail building, office, doesn't matter. Farmland, agricultural land, doesn't matter. You tie it up, put it under contract, and then what you do is you sell that contract to another investor who wants to buy it based on the terms that you've already negotiated, and then they close on it. You get a fee for selling them the contract, and they close on it. Okay, very little risk. And actually, like I said, next week I'm interviewing Dimitri Van Camp. He's over in Belgium, investing here in the United States, and that is his main strategy, which is wholesaling, and it can do very high volume with very low risk. Okay. Then we've got kind of a flipping model, which is going to be buying assets, where you actually close on them. So wholesaling, you don't close. You tie it up, you put it under contract, and then you sell that contract to another investor to allow them to close. But for the flipping business model or flipping investing model, you're actually going to buy it, you're going to close on it. You may add some value to it, meaning you might do some improvements, you might make repairs on it, you might do some deferred maintenance work, you might also improve the operations. On a commercial property, you might do some things that are going to add value and jack up the cash flow on it, which is how commercial assets are valued, and then turn around and sell it in a short period of time to an end buyer that's going to hold it for a long time. And what you're doing is you're buying it at a discount, you're adding value, and then you're turning around and selling it. Now, that being said, just because you close on it doesn't mean you're necessarily, everybody necessarily adds value. Some people just buy things because they know they bought it cheap, close on it, turn around and, resell it without doing any work because they just bought it right. Jump over to MarioDattilo.tv, guys. That's my YouTube channel, and watch this live. You'll get a better feed. And also, I want to chat with you, and I can only see your chat and comments over there on MarioDattilo.tv. It's super easy to do. Just click on it and just do it. Anyways, so you've got kind of lower risk on the wholesaling. The flipping, you're going to have quite a bit more risk because you're actually taking title. Okay. Just by taking title to any asset, there is a chance that there's more risk that you're taking. There's a chance you could potentially lose money because your capital is deployed. It's tied up in an asset, and that asset is a lot less liquid than cash. Okay. So you got to look at it that way and recognize that flipping may typically will have larger gains, and that's why people do it, because wholesaling, you can make great money on each transaction, but it's often more of a volume game, where on the flipping side of things, you are typically buying it and you expect to make more money because you're taking more risk. You should be making more money when you flip assets than when you wholesale them. Okay. And obviously, if the market changes and you're in the middle of value add on a property, even if it's a single family home, you could get stuck with that asset. So it's just very important to take that into consideration. As soon as you close, you own it. Okay. You own it. And that means that you could potentially lose some money, but you're probably going to make more money than if you wholesale it, if you're doing it right and you're using good investment principles and strategies. Hey guys, jump over to Dattilo.tv. Chat with me over in the live chat over there. I can't see your comments in chat on any other platform. So, and you're going to get a much cleaner, better feed over on YouTube anyways, Dattilo.tv. So anyways, now we've talked about wholesaling. We've talked about flipping. Let's jump over to that long-term investment strategy. And I've said this before, but a buddy of mine once said to me at a real estate investment association, Jeff, if you're out there, Tumbarello, I'm calling on you, buddy. He actually runs the Southwest Florida Real Estate Investment Association. And at the time I was flipping homes. We were rehabbing and selling homes. And he said, Mario, how many of the most wealthy people flip homes? And I thought, it's a good question. So I started thinking about it for a few minutes and I came back to, I was like, hey, you know what? It's a good point. I don't know. The most wealthy people I know who are in real estate, they buy and hold. They're long-term investors. They have the highest net worth. They're in the best position out of anybody. Everybody I know that flips homes and wholesales homes, they make great money. I mean, there's no question about that. There's a lot of money in it, but it's a job. And they're constantly having to do the next transaction in order for them to make money. And so what I want you guys to consider, not everybody, a lot of people get into real estate investing and they go, okay, what's the easiest way? What's the way with the least amount of risk, the lowest amount of investment that I need to make and all that stuff, right? They're always looking at kind of the lowest hanging fruit. And so they jump to wholesaling. And I think wholesaling is great. Same with brokering. If you're a broker, that's totally cool, but you should be buying assets on the side too. Anyways, so the short-term, lowest risk stuff is always the most attractive to new investors because they feel like they're taking the least risk and they have to put in the least amount of money, especially if you don't have a lot of money to start investing. But I would recommend that you consider long-term investing as an early on strategy. I look back and I've been investing for 15, going on 16 years now, something like that. And I wish that I would have started out buying and holding assets, even if it was single family homes. I wish I would have held a lot more of them because there was a lot more money to be made in the cash flow in the long-term hold. Okay. We flipped and, bought, rehabbed and sold and wholesale a lot of stuff from like 2008 to about 2014. And I go, man, if I held even 20% of those assets, how much they'd be worth today. Now, so just consider buying and holding. Now, the reason why I say this is not only because there's money in it, but there's money in a couple different ways in it. All right. So there's cash flow, which is awesome. Okay. Passive income from cash flow, but also you've got some tax benefits with it. You get the depreciation. See, when you're flipping and wholesaling, that's ordinary income. That's, you're paying much higher tax rate on that money. When you have rental property, you have what's called depreciation, which is really just a paper loss that helps offset your income. So you pay less taxes that year. Okay. So get this, you generate cash flow, potentially passive, especially if you're not doing the day-to-day management of it. Okay. Secondly, you're getting depreciation to offset your income, so you pay less in taxes. And then on top of that, you get gains. Okay. So get this, you've owned this asset, you've got gains, meaning you've improved the property, appreciation has happened, and now the property's worth more than what it was when you bought it. So you got some capital gains from that, but then you've also got principal pay down working at the other direction. So here you've got appreciation and you've got principal pay down, which this gap here is your equity. That is your net worth essentially growing every single month as the property improves, the cash flow goes up because you're running it well, and the principal's being paid down by your tenants. That means you create more and more equity, which creates a higher net worth for you. Well, you're getting paid the whole time based on cash flow from the property. So, and even then, if you buy the asset at a discount below market value, then you're even in a better position. That's the only way I would recommend you buying things, is buying things at prices that make financial sense. Do not pay full retail price for things that are not retail, retail quality assets. Don't pay for stabilized asset prices when the property needs a lot of improvement and you got to take a lot of risk on it to get it there. So, anyway, so that's really on the long-term investment strategy. You're benefiting in so many different ways. You've got that cash flow, you've got the depreciation, you've got appreciation, both natural, organic appreciation, which is market appreciation, but also forced appreciation. Forced appreciation is what you create by improving the property, improving rents, improving, utility bill back, and all kinds of other strategies to increase that net operating income on it. So that forces appreciation, that it forces the value up. And then you've got principal pay down. So that's cash flow. What I say? Cash flow, appreciation, depreciation, really forced appreciation, natural appreciation, and principal pay down. So it's like 5 strategies. Plus, get this, on the long-term hold stuff. Hey guys, jump over to Dattilo.tv, click on the live video so that you can chat with me over there. And let me know what you got going on. Let me know what you're investing in, where you're based out of, whatever you want to talk about. Just throw something out there in the chat. Just jump over to Dattilo.tv. It's free. It's my YouTube channel, and you'll get a better stream anyways, because I can't see your chat anywhere on any other platform. You got to jump over to Dattilo.tv to chat with me. Okay. So now we've got those really 5 different ways that you're benefiting from long-term real estate investments. Okay. Not flipping and wholesaling, but buying and holding real estate. We talked about the 5 different benefits, but now on top of that, you can actually refinance those assets, pull out some of that equity, and use that. And I'm not talking about pulling out the equity and buying Ferraris. I love cars, okay? So I'm not picking on people who drive Ferraris, because I love Ferraris, okay? I love cars. But you don't take cash out of assets and then go invest it in liabilities. What you do is you take that cash, you pull it out, which is tax-free money. You take that money out and then you go invest it in other assets, which start producing more cash flow. So now you've got 2 assets producing cash flow. And guys, if you've heard of the BRRRR method, BRRR method, whatever, I mean, it's very common in the residential world. That's all we're talking about. We're taking cash out of this one, putting it in the next one, and creating multiple streams of income then. Okay. But so that's really 6 different benefits of being a long-term real estate investor and not somebody that's flipping and wholesaling. Again, I've got nothing wrong. I've got no problem with flipping and wholesaling, because I think those are great, or even brokering. Okay. All 3 of those short-term strategies, transactional strategies that can help you produce cash, lump sums of cash that then you could take and reinvest into cash flowing assets. All right. The whole goal is to buy assets that pay you to own them. And if they're not paying you to own them, you're speculating. All right. There's no better way to put it. If it doesn't pay you, then you purely bought it because you expect it to go up in value. And that is speculation. And that's risky. Do people make a ton of money speculating? Absolutely. Dimitri, who will get on here, get on my podcast next week. I'm talking a lot about Dimitri today. I think I'm prepping you guys for a good interview. But anyways, he's heavily into speculating in different asset classes outside of real estate as well, and does very well at it. So there's nothing wrong with speculation. You just have to understand the high risk that's involved in it, and do it from a very educated standpoint, not just because your buddy said he's buying something and it's going to go up because he thinks it's going to go up. Okay, you'd think I'm joking about that, but I've heard that more often than you'd think. So hey guys, jump over to Dattilo.tv and drop in the chat what questions you have, what you got going on, what you're investing in. Would love to hear from you. And let's see here. What questions? I'm typing this in. Do you have for me? All right. Drop it in the chat, Dattilo.tv. I want to make sure I answer your question. So now we've kind of laid out we've talked about how to determine what type of real estate to invest in. And then we've talked about the different strategies in which to invest in them, right? In the property that you choose. So the question is, what strategy should you be considering now? We got the wholesale, the flipping, and then we've got the long-term hold investing. Okay. So the flipping, low risk, the wholesaling, almost no risk, lower income, but you got to keep doing the work in order to get more deals going. And you're going to pay the highest tax rate on that. It's a job. Okay. There's no better way to put it. I've done a lot of it. It's a lot of work. Okay. If you don't have the next deal, you don't have the next widget, which is all the widget is your piece of real estate you're flipping. I should say the contract you're flipping on wholesaling, you're pretty much out of business if you don't have the next one. Flipping, again, a little higher risk, a little more reward. You're going to probably make more. You should make more money on flips than you do on wholesales, but you are taking more risk because you're actually taking title of that asset, which means now it's illiquid. You own it until you sell it. And whatever happens at that property, you get to benefit from, good or bad. Okay. And if the market changes, now you are susceptible to that a little bit. And then you've got, but again, larger dollars, but it's still a job. You still have to find the next asset to buy, clean up, shine up, and then turn around and sell. And then the long-term real estate hold, long-term investing, which is buying that asset, renting it out, producing cash flow from it, and doing those 6 different things that we talked about. Okay. And that I'm just touching on this because there's some new people that have hopped on. The 6 benefits or 6 things that you can do with long-term rentals is you can generate cash flow from them. Okay. You're going to have natural organic appreciation. You're going to have forced appreciation. Okay. Then you have depreciation, which means you offset your income and pay lower taxes on the income that you're making. Okay. Then you also have principal pay down because your tenants are actually paying your mortgage down for you. If you're smart enough to use leverage on that investment, you now are getting your principal paid down every month by your tenant. So that's 5. And then 6, you can actually refinance that asset, pull out some cash tax-free, and go then reinvest it in more cash flowing assets. Okay. So that's 6 awesome things that you can do. The negative, or I guess the risk, there is more risk in buying and holding real estate. Okay. Versus wholesaling, because again, you're taking title and whatever happens at that property, you're going to benefit from, positive or negative. Okay. But hey guys, jump over to MarioDattilo.tv, drop in the chat what you got going on, and hit me with some hard questions. I want the tough questions tonight. Drop them in the chat over at MarioDattilo.tv. It's free. It's my YouTube channel. All right. So on the buy and hold, you like how I said that so fast? On the buy and hold, you take risk because you take ownership. But here's the thing. On the buy and hold, if you're buying assets that cash flow, it's paying you to own it. So your risk is now decreased, because if it's paying you to own it and you're positive, you have positive cash flow. And if the market changes, if interest rates skyrocket, if there's, a million different things that can happen, we call them black swans. Okay. Things that happen that were completely unpredictable, that change the market. You've got cash flow that's paying you to hold that every month, hold that asset. So what ends up happening is you're able to ride out downturns. You're able to strategically sell that asset or refinance that asset when it makes most sense, not because you have to. And that's the trick. Buy from people who have to sell, and sell because you want to sell and because it's a good timing to sell. And that's the biggest difference between making money and losing money, I think, is if you're positioned to be able to sell at an opportunistic time, you are going to do very well. If you have to sell, then you're probably going to take a discount and not make as much as you could. Hey, what's up, Martins? Good to have you on. Hey guys, jump over to MarioDattilo.tv, drop your questions in the chat. Let's talk. Hit me with some tough questions tonight. I got a feeling Martin's question is going to be kind of a softball, though, because that's kind of what he normally throws. All right, let's read this. What percentage of the purchase of a mobile home community, do you allocate to the improvements for depreciation? Oh crap, that's a hard one. So, great question. And if I wish I could tell you the exact number. I think it's around for a mobile home park. I think we land somewhere in the 30 something percent range, but I highly, highly recommend that you get either cost seg, or if you've got a very good CPA that can kind of break out those numbers and essentially do a desktop cost seg, you'll want to do that. But to answer your question, I think we land somewhere in the 30% range, and there's some benefit. One thing that I will say is if you own mobile homes, okay, in your park, which I don't suggest anybody does, but if you do own some rentals, you're going to be able to depreciate those too. So there's some benefit to having. That's one of the benefits of having rental mobile homes. One of the few benefits. Okay. So great question, Martins. I know I didn't give you a super solid answer on that one, but cost seg is going to be the best way to get an exact number. And but I think we're somewhere in the 30-ish% range. So hey guys, jump over to mariodattilo.tv and drop your questions in the chat. Martin's just had a really good question. I'm telling everybody to throw me throw me hard questions tonight, and Martin's did that. So thank you. Hit me up about any real estate type too, not just mobile home parks. So let's talk residential investment. Let's talk commercial. Let's talk whatever you guys want. Storage, retail, office, industrial. I'll tell you if I don't know something, but I'd love to talk to you about any property types you guys want. Let me also know where you're at and just chime in. Let's talk. mariodattilo.tv. Hit subscribe while you're over there too. Anyways, so we've been talking about the strategy of determining what type of real estate you want to buy. And then from there, determining your strategy. So you got the wholesaling, you got the flipping. Those are going to be, wholesaling is going to be your lowest risk, also lowest reward. Flipping is going to be higher risk, bit higher reward, at least it should be, although you could lose money on those too. And then your long-term investment is potentially higher risk because you, again, are taking ownership. But if that asset is paying you to own it, then you are essentially you're reducing risk by having the property pay for its own operating costs and debt. Martins, he said, hey guys, jump over to mariodattilo.tv, ask your questions over there. Throw me some tough ones tonight, no softballs. We're going to talk anything real estate investing, so drop it in the chat over at mariodattilo.tv, hit subscribe. It's like those really fast, disclaimers on the radio or on TV where you can't even hear what they're saying, but that's because they don't want you to change the channel before they get through it. All right. So Martin said, if it costs about $25,000 per space to build out, wouldn't it be safe to use that without a cost seg? I see what you're saying. So what you're saying is if it costs about $25,000 to develop a lot, to develop a site, wouldn't it just make sense to use that in your depreciation schedule for tax purposes? Great CPA question. You're hitting me with the accounting questions that I'm not qualified to answer, but a cost seg is not that expensive, and I would highly recommend getting one. Have I gotten one on all of our properties? No, but I would highly recommend you do that because you're going to get a much more accurate number than Mario's non-CPA advice here. But yeah, I get what you're saying. And there's a lot of logic to that. If you're going to spend 25 grand to do something, to build something, shouldn't that be what you depreciate? The only issue with that is, I don't know how they look at the age of the infrastructure and what you're depreciating, and if they figure that in at all. I'm not a CPA, so that may or may not work. But cost seg is only a few $1,000s, and you're gonna depreciate your hard assets, your infrastructure, and things like that much faster than you will typically without that. So do that. Hey guys, hit me up on mariodattilo.tv. Jump in the chat. That's the only place I can see your comments and questions. But I want to hear from you. I want to know where you're at, what you're investing in, what you want to invest in. Throw me some hard questions like Martin's is tonight. Avoid the accounting questions, though, that CPAs need to answer, because that's just for liability. I'm not going to give you a solid answer on that. But anyways, yeah. So great questions, Martins. Martins is actually he's pretty big in the manufactured housing space. He's actually very involved in the SECO conference, and every time he hops on here, I kind of promote the SECO conference, not because I'm have any direct interest in it or anything, but it is the Southeast Community Owners Conference, and he is like the ops guy for that event, behind the scenes boss, you could call it. And so I had a fun time speaking at that. Was it last year? I think it was last year. Yeah, I spoke at that. And it was fun. So, hey, I got another question here. Guys, jump over to mariodattilo.tv. Drop your questions. Let me know where you're dialing in from. It's so old school, connecting in from, and what you're investing or what you want to invest in, so that I can give you some advice. We can talk about it. You can throw me some curveball questions like Martin's just did on the accounting side. I love that. And I'll tell you the truth if I don't know the answer, but it's going to probably be hard. So let's give it a shot. mariodattilo.tv. Hit subscribe while you're over there too, so you get hit up every time I do these live videos and you know to hop on. All right. So Daniel, what's up, dude? Welcome. He's over on mariodattilo.tv, and he said, Mario, when you buy a park and it needs improvements, do you normally finance the improvements, or do you have cash reserves to get them done? All right. Super good question. All right. Now we're starting to get into the weeds here. I'm liking this. So it depends. Okay. But I would say on most transactions, when we buy either a mobile home park or self-storage, as long as we're financing it, let me pull back here for a second. Okay. Usually, because we're buying underperforming assets, okay, mobile home park, storage, whatever, that is not being run very well, has a lot of deferred maintenance, we usually have a lot of improvements that need to be done when we take over that property. But we don't buy these assets with institutional debt usually. We don't buy them with CMBS or life companies or agency loans or anything like that, because they don't want to finance not unstabilized assets. They want to finance the stuff that's stabilized and clean and running smooth, because it's very predictable. Okay. That's where you're going to get the best terms. But what we do is we use local banks or regional banks, and we buy those properties, we make improvements to them, and then we refinance out of those banks, because that's recourse debt and it's not as good of terms. We then refinance into the long-term institutional debt, which is usually non-recourse, longer amortization, longer fixed rate, all the goodies. Okay. The only not good thing about it is they typically are more expensive loans to close on the institutional side. But to answer your question, Daniel, because I'm circling back around here, is we will typically, if we're buying it with a bank and we're not buying it cash, we will go to the bank and tell them we want them to finance loan to cost, not loan to value. Okay. And what that means is we tell them we're buying it for this, we're going to put in this in improvements, and we want you to finance, let's say 75% of the total cost of the deal and not the total value. Okay. And in most transactions, the banks will do that. Why? Because they see that you're taking their cash that they're lending you and you're investing it into the property to make improvements, to stabilize that asset, to make it worth it, to bring it to its full value, full quality, I should say. And then once you've got it to that full quality, looks like my Wi-Fi is being a little goofy here. So if I cut out for a second, bear with me. I'll be back. It just sometimes does that. I live out in the boonies. Okay. But let's see if it goes back up really fast here. So now that they've lent us the money that we've used to make the improvements, now the quality of the asset is at its full potential, which means then we can lease to higher quality tenants that are willing to pay more in rent. And also we're going to maximize the value of the property, put it that way. So they see the value in why they should lend us that money. And that's our pitch. Hey, look, lend us both 75% of the purchase, but also, and it could be 70%, it could be 65%. I mean, I'm just giving you an example. Loan to cost, both on the purchase and the improvements that we want to do. So super good question, Daniel. And there's a couple things that you guys need to know when you are borrowing on the improvement dollars. It's ideal if you can get them to give you all the money up front? Well, there's two things with that. If they'll give you all the money up front, even if it's in a bank account at their bank that they kind of can keep an eye on, there's good and bad about that. Number one, you've got more control. You don't have to go through all these draw requests and all this stuff, but you are paying interest on all of the improvement dollars day one. If you draw on the loan or on those funds for the improvement, then it's negotiable. Are you paying interest on the full balance, or are you paying interest on the balance that you've drawn on? And it's important to recognize that and negotiate that with your lender. So super good question, Daniel. Hit me with some more good ones like that. Happy to answer them. Hey guys, if you're hopping on MarioDattilo.tv, jump over there, drop in the comments your questions. I want to answer them, and I want to hear where you're based out of, what you're investing in, what you want to invest in. Let's chat. Let me hear what you got going on. All right, Martin said PS, which is kind of a follow-up from his 2 other accounting curveballs he threw at me. PS, for your viewers watching on a phone like I am doing now, you can only comment if you're watching on the YouTube app versus opening it on a separate browser on the phone. Okay, good point. All right, so I didn't even know that. You got to go over to MarioDattilo.tv on the app, and you can actually chat live with me, or on your web browser as well on your computer. But I guess on a phone, you don't want to be on the browser on YouTube, because I guess the chat feature doesn't work on a browser on a phone. Thank you, Martins. That is very good to know. I've never been on the other side of the table, so very helpful. Hey guys, where are you at? What are you investing in? Jump over to MarioDattilo.tv. Give me some questions here. Throw me some curveballs. So what I want to do until I get the next question is I want to wrap up what I was saying. What type of real estate? We talked about how to figure that out. If you're just hopping on, you need to go back and watch the recording of this afterwards, because I get into detail on it. What kind of real estate should you be investing in? Secondly, what's your strategy? Is it going to be short-term trades, or is it going to be long-term hold investments? And what's the benefit of both? Now, as you know, I started out trading, buying, flipping and wholesaling real estate. And then I got into, and also brokering. I mean, brokering, I really consider brokering similar to wholesaling in the sense that it's kind of a transactional business around real estate, very similar to wholesaling. Okay. And I'm still a broker, full disclosure, because I like being able to broker off-market deals that I pass on to other investors so I can help them get deals and I can make money on those deals and reinvest that into marketing. But so the wholesaling, short-term flipping, all that brokering, great for large chunks of cash. Take that cash, reinvest it into cash flowing assets. They're going to produce income, and then we could take advantage of those 6 different things, 6 different, I don't even want to call them strategies, 6 different benefits of long-term real estate investing. So as you can see, I'm pushing you in that direction, okay? Get into the investment side, the long-term cash flow side, the appreciation, the depreciation, the principal pay down side of the real estate world, because that's where you're going to build wealth. That's where you're going to build up a big net worth. That's how you're going to get wealthy. That's how you're going to retire, if that's what you ever choose to do. You're not going to retire flipping homes and wholesaling, because it's a job. Okay. Unless you go and hire people, which is very doable. You can hire a team and manage that team, which I have some friends that do it at a very high level. They wholesale and flip homes. They're flipping 50, 100 homes a year plus, and they've got a business system that they've built. But again, that's a business system that's solely based on, them finding another home to flip. One person that I would actually say has done phenomenal at wholesaling is Jimmy Johnson. Okay, Jimmy Johnson is actually flipping. He's wholesaling mobile home parks, and he's done that very, very well. I think he's done 55 of them now in the last few years. So you can flip and wholesale commercial real estate as well. Hey guys, jump over to MarioDattilo.tv. Drop your questions there. It's YouTube is all it is. Do it from the phone app though. Don't do it on your browser. I want to hear what questions you guys have. We've already had some good questions. I want to hear what you're investing in. Hey Daniel, do you own? If you're still on, you had a great question. Do you own parks right now? Are you looking to buy parks, or kind of how'd you hear about this? I'm very interested in finding out. MarioDattilo.tv, jump over there, drop your questions, and let's talk. Man, we're doing a marathon tonight. It's funny, I got home and from this closing that we had today on this refinance of a building we own, a self-storage building that we own And I was like, you know what? It's Tuesday. Don't have the mastermind tonight with MHP Tribe. Let's get on and hang out. And let's talk shop. Anyways, it's like this addiction. I just like talking real estate. So, all right, what are you guys investing in? What do you want to invest in? Drop it over at mariodattilo.tv. That is the only place that I can see your comments and chat. That's my YouTube channel. And be sure to hit subscribe so that you get notified every time I do these lives and put out new episodes. Hey, so I guess in wrapping up again on the strategies and type of real estate, look at long-term holds. And again, people sometimes will say, I can't invest in long-term hold stuff. I want to do wholesaling because I don't have enough cash, or I don't want to take the risk, or whatever. Just remember, okay, if you don't have enough capital to buy maybe a little bit larger commercial real estate, commercial property, doesn't mean you can't buy them. You just need to find partners. Okay. And I don't want to get deep into the partnership discussion tonight unless somebody has a specific question about partnering. You could drop that in the chat, but because I've went over it recently on a couple live videos ago, I got into kind of a lot of detail on partnerships. But you can raise the capital. You can put the money together to buy this larger properties and own them together with other people. And without getting into too much complexity, because I'm not a securities attorney, you've got, general partnerships, which are kind of like multiple active people in the deal, all putting in money and having a role. And then you've got limited partnerships, which are going to be one active or one or more active members that are actually running the deal. And then one or more passive investors that purely just put up the money and expect a return on their money. And they're basing all of their trust and their returns on the activities of the general partner, the active investors. Hey guys, jump over to mariodattilo.tv, drop in the chat. That's my YouTube channel. Hit subscribe over there too, but drop in the chat, invest, and hit me with some questions too. Hit me with something hard. Hit me with a tough question. But so, buying these longer term holds is very doable, even if you don't have all the cash yourself. You just have to line up partners to go into the deal with you. And I would recommend, if you're just getting into it, that you find more experienced partners than you. And the reason I say that is because, think about it this way. If you're going in and you're learning something as you go, think about how much faster you will learn if you partner up with someone who's already done it 20 times, okay? Or already has the banking relationships, or already has the management experience, or whatever. You're going to learn so much partnering with an experienced partner versus if you partner with another non-experienced newer investor. Nothing wrong with doing that, but I think there's more value in partnering with people who've done it before. Okay, I've also seen it where people will say, hey, myself and 4 other friends all want to partner up, and we're going to go buy these properties. We're all going to learn together. Cool, but you're probably stepping on each other's toes, because I guarantee 4 or 5 people are probably good. Some of them are going to be good at the same things, and you're going to end up stepping on each other's toes and creating problems in that partnership. So be very selective who you partner with, but recognize that it's a great way to be able to scale, buy bigger assets, buy more assets, and especially if you're doing it with more experienced people. If you're going to go buy an apartment building that's kind of over your head, do it with somebody who's done it before. You're going to learn a ton, and it's going to be a lot easier transaction. And then, think about it. Let's say you source a deal. You find a mobile home park, let's say, just because that's what I mostly invest in. Let's say you find a mobile home park. You bring it to the table to another experienced park owner. You say, look, we've known each other a while. I know you're good at what you do. I've got a deal. Why don't I bring the deal, maybe put in some money as well, and let's partner up, and you handle the operations and help me with the due diligence work, and maybe even go on the loan with me, and let's partner. And you guys work out something to where you both have an active role, and you both are putting in some cash, and most importantly, you get to learn from them, and they get a new deal on the table. I mean, so I'm doing a deal right now like that, where I think we're going to close on around the 10th of May on another park, and somebody brought it to me, and we're partnering with them on it. So it's pretty sweet strategy, and they get to make money for bringing the deal and bringing some money and bringing a little bit of a roll, but they are also not having to run it, which is the hardest part about real estate, is the actual management and operations of the real estate. So highly recommend, if you're going to partner with people who are more experienced than you in whatever you're buying. Dattilo.tv. Jump over there, drop your questions in the chat. We've had some good questions so far. Had a couple of tough accounting questions, tax questions, I should say. And I had a really good question from Daniel about financing improvements when you buy commercial real estate. In this case, he was talking about a mobile home park. So hit me with your tough questions. Just closed a refinance today, pulled out a bunch of cash. We're still very low loan to value, about 50% loan to, I think we're actually, about 50% loan to value on this loan, but we pulled out a bunch of our initial investment. So now we're going to be able to take that cash and go reinvest it in other things. Hey, Trey, what does he say? Hey, so Trey just sent me a text, which is kind of funny. He's not on the chat, but what's up, Trey Peterson? He's a financial advisor up in Minnesota. Hopefully he's agreeing with all the financial advice I'm giving tonight, knowing that I'm not a financial advisor. But one thing I've always said is that if you're going to take advice from people, make sure you take financial advice from somebody who's where you want to be. Actually, I heard that. I didn't come up with that. I heard that many, many years ago, and it stuck with me. Always take advice from people who are where you want to be financially. If they don't have the net worth, the cash flow, the lifestyle that you want, careful taking advice from them. I bet you Trey would agree with that. Make sure you're getting good advice from successful people already. So anyways, so guys, what are you guys investing in? What do you want to invest in? Maybe you're looking at real estate right now, looking at it and go, man, is the market at a peak? Where are we at right now? Trying to figure out maybe what you should be investing in. Drop that in the chat. Let me know what you're thinking about, maybe where you're investing from or where you want to invest geographically. Hit me with your questions over in the chat, Dattilo.tv. Let's have some fun. We've had some good questions so far. So back to long-term cash flow. Buy it. Buy cash flow, okay? Don't buy speculation, buy the cash flowing assets. So the question might come up, where in the world can you find cash flowing assets right now? Okay. Well, they're still out there. They're not easy to find because a lot of people are actually, paying too much. And let me kind of stop there really quick. A lot of times when I tell people that I invest in mobile home parks, the first thing they say is, oh man, that's so cool. I've heard mobile home parks are like, they're cash cows. You just rent out the lots. And I go, yeah, well, it kind of depends on what you pay for it. and isn't that the truth on almost any asset type, real estate, stocks, bonds, whatever? I mean, your return is going to be heavily, heavily tied to what you pay for it. And so in this economy, in this real estate market, you need to be paying attention to what you're paying for assets, because just buying things to buy it because the lender will give you the money is a recipe for failure. Okay. You will regret that. And so we talked a lot on my last live video about kind of market shifts and how interest rates are ticking up and how that can really affect values and your ability to refinance, and how people with shorter term debt can get into a lot of problems, and how that's big opportunity for investors like you and I who are looking at investments as, looking at investments for a return and not for speculation. Okay. So it's really important, whatever you're buying, you're paying a price that's going to produce a return that you're going to like. Okay. If you overpay, your return is going to suck and you could lose money. So just be careful on what you're paying for things right now, because a lot of stuff's overpriced. Drop it in the chat. Dattilo.tv is the YouTube channel. Hit subscribe over there too while you're at it. It's free, and that is where I'm going to be able to hear what you want to talk about. Maybe you got some real estate investing questions, or you want to let me know what you're looking to invest in. Love to hear from you over there. And I just found out you need to do it on your YouTube app, not on a phone browser. You can do it from the web browser, though, on your computer. So jump over there, Dattilo.tv, hit subscribe while you're at it, and click like if you actually like it. So then YouTube will know that this is kind of stuff that you like. And also it pushes this content out to more people so we can help more people learn how to invest better. So I think I mentioned earlier, we did a refinance today. We've got another asset that we're closing, a mobile home park that we are expecting to close around the 10th of May. big value add play, mostly from an operations rent increase, some physical improvements we're going to be doing at that property. Roads, they're just gravel right now. We're going to be putting in roads. There's some well work to be done. We've got signage going in. We've got fencing going in. We've got a lot of tree trimming and removal. Just a lot of work going on at that property, but I'm super pumped because I feel like we're buying it for the right price, and we are going in with some cash flow right away. So that's important. You need to be cash flowing. You need to make sure that you're not negative day one when you're buying real estate. Okay. Too many people are doing that where they're just losing, and let me be clear. If you are buying something that is negatively cash flowing or breaking even day one when you buy it, that might be okay if you've projected that, okay? And you've got the cash flowed it and you know what you're doing. But you need to make sure that you've got a clear path to stabilization. And there's different ways to add value to property. Some are quicker, some are a little bit slower and maybe take a little bit more money. And then some are very capital intense and are very slow. And that's going to be your highest risk. And you should put the least weight on those strategies to add value. Let me give you an example. And I'm just going to use mobile home parks because that's what I invest in, but you can apply this to any property type and you can probably use some of these examples yourself. So let's talk about this. You've got, sorry, I got distracted. I saw Daniel, I'll pull your question up in a second. Let me finish what I was saying. So you've got you've got really, value add strategies would be like raising rent. That's low risk. You can do it relatively quick. That's going to add to the bottom line. Okay. You can bill back utilities. Little harder, little bit of money, but generally it's relatively quick to do. Great way to add value and add cash flow. An example of, so that's short, medium, and long, and the most expensive and longest is going to be like infilling lots, or, like get an example, if you own storage and you want to do an expansion, okay, that's going to take a lot more time. It's going to take a lot more money. So you can't put as high of a value, or you shouldn't put as much weight on that part of your value add or those type of value add strategies as you do on the quicker ones, like raising rent, billing back utilities, selling off some homes, whatever it is. But bringing in homes or doing an expansion to a building or something like that, that's very capital intense. And it is also, it takes time. There's risk in that. And there's a chance that it could take you longer than you planned. So you need to be careful when you're projecting increases in income and value based on infill or expansions and things like that. All right, Daniel, you're hitting me with some good questions tonight. Guys, jump over to Dattilo.tv. Hit me with your real estate investing questions, anything. It can be mobile home parks. It can be single family homes. It can be raising capital. It can be due diligence. It can be operations. It can be, storage, parks, single family, whatever you guys want to talk about, office, industrial, retail. Let's talk. So Daniel said, Mario, do you syndicate? Can I possibly invest in your deals? Thank you. That's like the biggest compliment I can get, and I appreciate that. So we do syndicate. We raise capital for all of our deals, but we're a little bit different in the sense that we're not actively bringing on new investors. We've got a handful of very high net worth and scalable partners that have invested with us. They've invested millions of dollars with us, tens of millions of dollars, and they continue to invest in it with us, and they're looking to deploy more capital. So for me to go out and bring on new investors, additional investors, I'd be kind of taking away from them. And we've got such a good relationship, and we've done so many deals together and so much business together that I'm not taking on new investors. Okay. But we do syndicate. And just to kind of dive into that question, we do Reg D 506C offerings, which are, they are private placement offerings, and they are, without getting too technical, they are an exemption from having to file what you would consider a securities offering. It's an exemption offering that our securities attorneys prepare for us, and they allow it. Actually, legally, we can raise capital from only high net worth investors, people who are considered accredited investors, meaning their net worth exceeds $1 million. not including their personal residence. So with our offerings, we can raise capital from high net worth accredited investors only. And where was I going with that? And we can advertise. So like if I had an offering where I was looking to raise outside, bring on new investors, which again, I'm not. So those who are hopping on, I'm not looking for more investors. But if I was looking for more investors, I could then pitch my deals publicly, like on YouTube or on, Facebook or Instagram or whatever. Legally, I can do that with a Reg D 506C offering. Now, there's still some rules around it. And I can only have high net worth investors invest with us that meet the SEC's definition of an accredited investor, but I can do that. Okay. What's also interesting about that is that a lot of people out there right now are trying to raise capital illegally. And I can't say that, I'm not condemning people. I'm not trying to like call people out, but can't tell you how many times I've heard people hop on Facebook and be like, hey, I need, an equity investor. I need a passive investor to invest in my deal. And I just go, well, hopefully nobody from the SEC gets a copy of that, because you're going to be in trouble raising money without the right documentation, without following the law. So just be careful if you're going to raise money for your deals, that you do it the right way. And a lot of people try and skirt around doing the offerings utilizing a securities attorney, private placement offering, because they're being cheap. Okay. They're being cheap and lazy. And that's kind of all it comes down to. They don't want to spend the, call it $15,000 to $20,000 to put that offering together, and they don't want to take the time to do it. So what they do is they try and make it a general partnership, which is really meaning you've got everybody's active in the deal and not no passive investors. But they're like, oh yeah, well, I just got money from my buddy here, and they're going to like kind of look at things, but they're not going to actually like make any decisions. I'm going to do all the decision making and I'm going to do all the work. That's a limited partnership arrangement. Okay. So you need to be careful with that, because what happens is, in good economies, when the market's good and everybody's doing well, everybody's getting rich and everybody's like, oh yeah, this is easy, we're all making money. It's easy then. But when the market turns, some of those loans that people took out that were super over leveraged at low interest rates, that had short wicks on them, when that stuff starts to come back, there's going to be some pissed off investors. And when they're pissed off, they do whatever they have to get their money back. And it's really unfortunate, but good relationships and good understandings can go really, really bad without good documentation. So just be super careful about that. Do it raise money the right way. But great question, Daniel. And again, thank you. That's a big compliment to ask me about that. So thanks again. All right. So Martin said, I am not sure if this is state specific, but a newer investor in my orbit is buying MHPs, mobile home parks, with mostly park-owned homes, but is telling the residents they are responsible for all maintenance down to the ground. Yeah, that's going to be state specific. And the reason that's state specific is because I know that, just because I know in the lease option world, where people do a lease, okay, and then they give the tenant an option to buy that home, or rent to own or lease to own. You've heard all the different names, but basically some sort of lease with a, equitable or an interest or an option. Some states will not allow you to require the residents to maintain the home. So I just know that that's a state specific thing and not a national law. Some states you can do that. Some states you can't. I think Ohio is one specifically that I think you cannot do that. Actually, I think they're totally against lease options altogether, but they are. Maybe it's Indiana. One of those you can't do. You can't make the tenants responsible for the repairs. But great question. I would just ask whatever state you own that property in, that you ask an attorney in that state that knows the laws there. You said that plus increasing rent is significantly income. Hold on. That plus increasing rent is significantly income and has been working so far. I'm just not sure how this would play out in court. So yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. So basically what you're saying is this investor, is buying communities with park-owned homes, and then they're giving notice to the residents that they're now responsible for maintaining the homes. Yeah, I can see that going south fast. Again, I would definitely get with an attorney on that. I can see how it would definitely increase cash flow because, yeah, you're reducing your expenses by quite a bit. And if it's just straight rentals, I don't know how that works. On a rent to own, it's more common to see people try and kind of move the maintenance costs over to the tenant. Even sometimes when they do that, they'll say, you know, you have to pay for any expenses under, you know, $1,000. Any repair or maintenance expenses under $1,000 are you. Anything above that is us. I've seen that too. And I think that's actually, if you're going to go the route of having a tenant pay for the expenses, in a lease option strategy, I think you're really in a good place if you do something like that. Excuse me. Because what happens is well, at least set the number. Either you cover the low expense stuff or you cover the high expense stuff. But regardless, I think it makes more sense to have them cover the stuff that's under $1,000 and you cover the stuff over, because what happens is some of these tenants get in these homes, they can't fix the AC unit. So what do? They let it go. Then you start to get moldy in there. And then you start getting more and more issues because they don't have the money to fix the roof that's leaking now, because it's a big expense where, if you knew about it, you would cover it. But because they think they're responsible for it, they just set it aside. Now you get this home back eventually when they default with all these major problems in it. So there's definitely some risk in putting those costs on the tenant. Is it a bad idea? No. I think you just need to find out the law in that state specifically, because you could move a lot of expense off your P&L by doing that. I wouldn't recommend anybody buy parks with park-owned homes as rentals. Does that mean that you can't? No. And if you're going to do it and you're doing it for a short period of time because you bought homes, you brought them in, you're renting them out and to recoup some money, and then you're going to sell those homes off or something like that, that's cool. But to buy a community that's all rental homes in a mobile home park, you're basically buying a horizontal apartment building, and there's just a lot of maintenance and management involved in that. You might as well just go buy an apartment building. Okay. So, and definitely don't pay for the home rent portion of the income, only the lot rent portion of the income on a cap rate. Okay. Hey guys, I'm going to take a sip of this water. Hit me with any questions you got. Man, we're doing a marathon call tonight. I'm going to be on for a few more minutes. I want to make sure I answer any other questions you guys got. Jump over to Dattilo.tv. It's my YouTube channel. If you're on your phone, do it on the app, not on the browser. And you can also do it on your web browser on your computer too. But jump over there, drop in the chat. Let me know what you're investing in. Let me hit me with any real estate investing questions you got, because I want to answer them. These have been really good questions and comments so far, and super good stuff. Martin's is hit me with some tough stuff tonight. I like it. Thank you. All right, I got a podcast that launches in May, and I've been interviewing some of these guests already, and I'm super pumped. I think I mentioned earlier that today I just interviewed Javier I'm so bad with his name. I feel so bad. Javier Hinojo, and he super interesting interview. He actually bought a jet. So we started talking about that. He owns apartments. He owns one mobile home park. He owns some other stuff too. I think industrial, and he's getting into retail as well. But I did a really interesting interview with him today. We talked cars, planes, obviously a lot of commercial real estate and single family investing, real estate investing strategies. And so that was a really interesting interview. I'm going to be releasing that along with several of these other episodes on my podcast that comes out in May. So stay tuned to that, because, we're talking mobile home parks on YouTube. That is really the niche thing that I talk about on my YouTube channel, but my podcast is going to go wide. We're talking all kinds of commercial real estate, even some single family real estate investing. And also I'm bringing on some serious ballers when it comes to business. People have started businesses and scaled them. People have bought businesses. It's going to be really super interesting. So make sure you're connected in that. It's a fun show. And that's coming out in May. So, hey guys, jump over to MarioDattilo.tv, click subscribe while you're over there so you get notified about all the new episodes and live videos that come out. Hit me with your questions. And Martin said increasing. Oh, that's because you're saying that plus increasing rent is significantly. Yeah, got it. So when you increase the rent along with move the maintenance expenses off your P&L, yeah, your NOI just explodes. So that's exactly why we sell homes, right? So Martin's owns parks as well. And the whole purpose of owning mobile home parks and the benefit of it is when the tenants own their homes and you own the land and the infrastructure, you don't have to maintain their homes. They just pay a lot rent to have their home sitting on your lot. So your repair, maintenance, and your overall expense ratio is much lower than a lot of other property types because of that. All right. So unless we got any other questions, I am going to wrap up here, but I do want to encourage you, jump over to MarioDattilo.tv, even if it's after the fact, hit subscribe. If you watched this as a follow-up video, meaning like it was over and you just watched it as a recording, thank you. I hope that you'll still leave comments and questions in the comments and chat after the fact, because I will respond to every single one of those questions and get them answered. So, hey guys, this was a ton of fun. Hour and a half straight of real estate talk. I love it. Thank you for all the interaction from everybody. Let's stay in touch. Hit me up on all the socials as well. Let's stay connected and let's do some deals together. Bring me some deals. Let's partner. I got to deploy a lot of capital here, and I need more deals, and I can only do so many deals myself, meaning I can only source so many deals myself. So I want to hear from you. Oh, Richard, slipping in at the last minute, brother. I love it. What's you caught me on the you caught me going out. So let me drop this question up here so everybody can see it. What's the usual percentage for yourself when buying a mobile home park as for a tenant-owned home compared to park-owned home? Let me read that again. What's the usual percentage for yourself when buying mobile home parks as far as tenant-owned? Okay, so I think what you're saying is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what you're saying is what's the normal expense ratio when you buy a community with tenant-owned homes versus park-owned homes? Okay. Typically on park-owned homes, you're running at least 50% expenses. Okay, just like an apartment building. You're going to be at about 50% or possibly even a tick higher than that, depending on the quality and the age of the asset and age of the homes and your tenant quality. I mean, if you're buying D parks with low quality homes and bad tenants, yeah, it's going to be crazy turnover. You're going to have a lot of maintenance calls. You're going to have just a lot of it's very management intense. So you're going to have a pretty high expense ratio. Where a tenant owned home community, you're going to be closer. It ranges depending on size of the property and quality. But I would, and the type of utilities, who's paying what, is the tenant paying water and sewer, is the park, and who's paying trash and lawn maintenance and all that good stuff. But on a tenant owned home community, you should range anywhere from about 35% to about 45% expenses. I would say if you get down to the really small, like 20 space tenant-owned home communities, you're probably going to be coming close to 50%. And so that's why I always tell people, go as big as you can, because going bigger isn't necessarily harder than smaller. I mean, smaller is not necessarily easier than bigger. Actually, it's a lot safer to invest in larger assets, more expensive. I shouldn't say more expensive, higher cash flowing assets, meaning more lots, more units, more square footage, whatever, because you've got more income to cover your expenses, especially if you've got a diversified tenant base like a mobile home park where you've got 100 tenants versus 20 tenants. 2 tenants move out, you're now at 90% occupancy on a 20 space park. On a 100 space park, you're at 98%. So you can kind of see how you're going to feel the expenses, and you're going to feel the pain a lot different depending on the size. And that really comes down to expense ratio, So if you're buying call it 50 space park or larger, lot rent, especially with, excuse me, especially with tenants paying their utilities, you're probably in the high 30s to low 40s for expense ratio. And that makes a big difference. That's a lot more money that you get to keep from the rent than if you are, have a higher expense ratio. Every dollar that comes out in the expenses is a dollar you don't get to keep. So think about that when you're buying small assets. If it only takes 4 or 5 tenants to move out, and all of a sudden you're now breaking even, that's painful. That's a lot of risk. Okay. Or you have a big plumbing break and you have a few tenants move out at the same time, you could be running negative. So it's just very important to pay attention to that. Size does matter. Bigger the better, right? So bigger the property, more tenants, the better. More diversification, better too. That's why we like mobile home parks and self-storage. I like apartments. I like even flex space that has a lot of tenant, multi-tenant flex space, because if a tenant moves out, you're not going to zero occupancy. You have a single family home rental and somebody moves out, you're at zero occupancy overnight, and that could wipe out your entire return within a couple of months. I mean, most people who buy single family homes and rent them out make anywhere from $100 to $300 a month in positive cash flow. If you're, think about it. If you're collecting $1,200 a month in rent, $1,500 a month rent, and they don't pay, you have to evict them, and it takes a month to get rid of them, and a month to lease. That's 2 months out. You lost $3,000, and you're only collecting let's just use the number of 200 right in the middle. You're only making $2,400 a year. You lost $3,000. You can't make up your loss for the year, and that's assuming you have no additional surprises. So it's just a lot riskier to do smaller properties with less tenants. It's just no better way to put it. So anyways, guys, hey, awesome night tonight. I appreciate all the input, appreciate all the questions. Make sure to subscribe to MarioDattilo.tv so that you get notified on all of these. And I got a great episode coming out about setting lot rents later this week. So make sure to tune into that on my YouTube channel, and podcast is coming out in May. So I'm telling you, you guys are going to have a blast listening to these people. They're just very, very impressive and a lot of fun. So, all right, guys, have an awesome night. Catch you later. Thanks.